Hi, folks. Welcome to another edition of On the Icebox with Iceberg Bricks. My guest tonight is PA owned Naters Mocs. He comes from the Pennsylvania area, and we will see him at Philly Brick Fest because that is his home court. So we're looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to sharing this evening with you and this magnitude of PowerPoint that we're about to see. And I think it's going to take this whole show to another level. People who do mocks, and when we say mocks, you see a lot of modular buildings and stuff like that. Whereas Naters Mocs is he's into the train part of Mocs, but he also incorporates his town into the locomotive. So I bring to you today, and we say hello to Mr. Nate Robinson. How you doing, good sir?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate the invite to join you tonight on the Icebox. Been looking forward to it since you asked me a while back. So
Yes, sir.
great to be
Yes, sir.
here.
It was good meeting you at Brick Fair. You know, I seen you on Instagram, followed you on Instagram, and seen the work that you've done. So it was a pleasure and an honor to meet you in person at Brick Fair, Virginia.
Yeah, it was great. It was great meeting you there. Great getting to hang out with some of the guys that I met at Philly.
Hmm.
So, like MD and Cool Kid and BOT, a couple other guys. Just got to hang out with a lot of them at Philly. And
Yeah,
so it was great seeing them again.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like feeling like I was
yeah.
coming home only in a different place.
Right, yeah, man. Basically, all the like you said, all the Philly characters were there. You know, you had Clutch, you, and Pinlug, and like you said, it was home, but it was a different place. Yeah, yeah. So I'm definitely looking forward to round two and actually spending the whole weekend being there, man. You know, I'm from South Jersey, so I'm real close. You know, I live real close to Philly. Used to live real close to Philly, so that area is very familiar with me. So I'm looking to coming home, man. I'm looking forward to coming home.
Oh yeah, Philly. Ever since then, it's like, man, it's like after I went the first year, which was 2016.
Hmm.
I was like, man, I'm gonna have to go back.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, side story, I was supposed to go the first year, which was, I believe, 2014. Had a problem with my job that I ended up actually losing a higher paying job. So I
Hmm.
wound up not going, even though I was already signed up, all ready to go. Could have gone for a day, didn't do it.
Uh-huh.
And when I was there at 2016, I thought back to that 2014. I'm like, I'm sitting there kicking myself because I missed out.
Right.
Because I heard people afterwards talking about it. I'm like, here I had all this stuff already. I was already hooked up, ready to go. Badges, the whole thing. Could have been there for even one day and just blew it. Just threw it away because I didn't want to add.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But
I
here we
got you.
are. Here we are coming up on the third one for me. So,
Yeah, man, going strong, man. You're going strong, man. And the group you with is a very strong group. So with that, growing up, man, tell me what's it like growing up in PA, man? How'd you get into Lego?
well, I've lived in Pennsylvania. In fact, I actually lived in York County my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
With the exception of, like, I would say not really second going down to West Virginia. West Virginia was kind of my second home to me, but Pennsylvania was where I was born. York County is
Mm-hmm.
where I always lived. Never moved except when me and my wife moved to Northern York County. Then that's the only time in my life I actually ever made myself move. With the exception when I was a little kid, we had lived with my grandparents and then moved to my parents' house. But so this is only
Mm-hmm.
my third time moving ever, I should say.
Okay.
But at 5 years old was when I forgot my first Lego set. It was a little red car and yellow trailer with a black motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't. I wish I could remember what the name of it was, but there's only like a couple pieces left of that set.
You gotta find that set.
I thought about it honestly. I mean, it was the one piece which was a toe ball piece actually kind of chewed, but I
Hmm.
kept it because that's something personal to me.
Yeah.
because that was for my first set.
Hmm.
And then it just started from there. I mean, I ended up getting more stuff here and there.
Right.
And then, as you get, as you go through the years, some people's interests change. Mine does from time to time.
Hmm.
And, well, Lego trains, but I pretty much am into all kinds of trains.
Hmm.
I'm kind of like Brexar, where he has his own separate train channel from his main channel, so
Right.
that I can highlight some of my train hobbies and habits
Hmm.
as well when I do have the opportunity. And I've gone through periods where the Lego got put to the side. And there's actually a story that not many people would know because I haven't really told that to too many. In fact, barely any.
Right.
5 years ago, I was actually looking to sell my Lego.
Oh.
Maybe about a year before.
Okay. Okay. What brought that about?
It was more just one hobby kind of intruding on the other,
Okay.
cost, that kind of thing, trying to downsize my collection of the stuff. But the fateful thing was there was Penlug
Hmm.
at a train show not long after the one I was at where I was talking to somebody about. I was at another train show talking to somebody who was looking to buy Lego.
Yeah.
Something happened, he couldn't. The only thing I could guess was God was telling me, no, you can't get rid of your Lego.
Right.
It's not for you yet, which I hopefully he'll never decide that. But well, then the next train show I go to, there's Penlog, and I see them on the thing. I'm like, get out of here, because I was trying to look how to join them, and
Uh-huh.
they have a forum, or at least they did at the time. And
Hmm.
I'm not good on online stuff that much. That's why it took me so long to get to Instagram compared to other people who have done it for years. And
Hmm.
I'm back here going, how do I even set up on something like that?
Right.
Because as you can say, it's laziness. I can be that way, unfortunately.
Hmm. Well, we all can be. We all can be. It's easy. It's easy.
Yeah, and Penlock really opened the door to a lot of stuff. I mean, I knew about Kale's work since probably 2008, 2009.
Hmm.
And then in 2013, I ended up joining them and find out and then meeting the guy who created the 8 wide scale trains that I was more or less just drooling over for years before,
Right.
trying to figure out how to build the stuff like he was building,
Hmm.
and then get exposed to the guy who knows all these techniques, and then he's not shy about passing them on. I mean, that's why he started Brick Model Railroader with Glenn Holland,
Okay.
so they could share this stuff with people who would like to get instructions,
Yeah. Yeah.
which recently opened a big door for me with adding more train cars. In fact, I've added more cars in the last year than I ever had
Oh,
before that
right.
did instructions.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, it's a good network to do. I mean, good network to be a part. It sounds like it worked out for you, man.
Oh, it did. I was just like, honestly, I say I stand in the shadow of two of the greatest Lego train builders in the world
Hmm.
that are known online. I mean, there's a couple other guys in the group. There's one guy calls himself Shupalomus or something like that. His real name is Nate, like me,
Uh-huh.
but that's his online Flickr usage. He
Okay.
has an engine that you have to see in person to really grasp the
Hmm.
amazing craftsmanship in Lego. There was a locomotive. You'll have to look it up when you get a chance. It's called the Erie Triplex.
Okay.
About it was it had 3 sets of drivers under it,
Hmm.
and they existed in real life. They weren't. This wasn't a fictitious engine he modeled. They were real engines,
Okay.
and he actually built one. And as far as I know, all 3 drivers actually work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like I said. I stand in the shadow of the
Yeah.
some of the greats.
Oh yeah, man. You got to be a sponge and soak that up, man. Especially if they're passing the knowledge down. You know what I mean? Because one day, you'll be the greatest, and it'd be your job to pass that knowledge down, which is good because that's what we're here for. In the community with Lego, is passing down techniques, passing on how to do, passing on the knowledge. Because you don't pass what you know, Nate. It dies, bro. you know.
It certainly would. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. So what are your Lego aspirations? What's the next big project for you, my man?
phew. You talking about what's in my mind or what I actually want to do, what I actually plan on doing?
Yeah.
Legit.
Yeah, absolutely. What you got? What you got going? Enlighten us.
Okay, well, behind me, of course, you can see part of my aspirations.
Hmm. Hmm.
I do have a big project for Philly coming
Okay.
that I'm keeping under the hood for now. I'll put
Hmm.
it that way. Time I will reveal what I'm doing,
Okay.
but I want to make sure that I'm actually doing it and getting it done before I say, okay, this is what I'm doing.
Right. Right.
Because sometimes I tend to shoot off my mouth, oh yeah, I'm building this, and then I don't do it, and I'm like, why did I even say I was doing? Because I get everybody's hopes built up, and then I say, well, I'm not doing that, and it's like, let down the fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to make sure I actually have, like, when I do my photos, I try to make sure there's actual credible construction first. Even if it's
Okay.
not going to ever get finished, there's at least something of substance to kind of get people's imaginations rolling.
Hmm.
Like, I'm sure you saw when you were looking through when you were checking out some of what my work was, there was a bowling alley I'd partially built.
Yes.
That mock no longer exists because the parts, of course, with anything are always needed.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
And it was for another city that never was going to end up being, unfortunately.
Hmm.
But I figure, you know what? Even if I don't finish it, I'll still post part of what I'm doing, so maybe other people might see that, like, oh, maybe I should try
Right.
that.
Right. And build off of what you started. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I believe in sharing my work, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, sometimes I get questions about instructions. Oh, do you have any instructions you created? Or unfortunately, I have to tell them no, I don't, because much of the stuff is out of my head or out of pictures.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's one that I've been gifted with with what I call a high imagination, but an ability, like you said, to be a sponge and soak up all kinds of information.
Yeah. Yep. That's what
Which,
it's about.
and I have a high appreciation for people who are willing to pass their information and share it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Definitely. So
but
how would you describe your work that you do? Your mocks are, and we about to find out. Your mocks are in a league of its own. Like when people do train towns,
right.
it's in a league of its own. Like when you go to shows, you're in a category to your own. Can you tell me, can you describe the work that you do?
Well, I guess the best way to describe the work is I guess you could say, trying to be the best that I can be.
Hmm.
You know, but at the same time, I still try to, if I learn a new technique, try to give it credit to who created the original technique.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
You know, because I personally believe that you know if I ever come up with the original idea, that's mine. But if
Right.
I didn't come up with originate the idea, then why should the person who originated the idea be ignored?
Right.
Even if it's somebody the community doesn't know, they should still hear the name.
Right.
You know,
Hmm.
like with the 8Y trains. I mean, there were some who had started them years ago. There were a lot of builders out there, different clubs like Texas Brick Railroad and Mishlug and many others who were doing 8Y trains. But Kale and Nate and a couple other guys were the ones who pioneered a lot of the heavier, realistic details and layouts.
Hmm.
along with some, and of course Texas Brick Railroad were some other ones who and Mishlug. But Kale has
Mhm.
pushed it beyond what some builders would do, because I mean he just constantly come up with details and techniques, and I just look and go, how did you even think of that? I
Right,
couldn't even
right.
think of certain stuff like that, and
Yeah,
I just like I can't think of an example off the top of my head because there are so many that he's done that just you're going up and you go, how in the
right,
did he think of it?
right. I
So
got you.
but as far as the layout that you see behind me, which eventually will expand to, and this goes, when you ask me about my big projects, it's going to be an
Hmm.
11-foot by 23-foot shelf style layout.
Okay, okay.
And the track is a little different. I'm sure you saw one of my posts recently where I was talking about R104
Hmm.
track that was made by a company called Brick Tracks. That's actually molded. That's not even 3D printed.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah.
And it's excellent stuff. I mean, I was going to get an example. I'll get it later. But it's actually comparable to Lego's track
Okay.
in the molding.
Hmm.
But what differs it from what Lego uses is it's a lot wider radius,
Hmm.
so you can actually run longer trains, and you can even run trains faster without worrying about flying off the rails as quickly as you would with Lego's
Okay.
standard remote control curve.
Yeah. Okay.
And what I'm trying to do with the layout is actually make it a model train layout
Hmm.
in Lego, you know, as opposed to a normal city layout, which I still appreciate the work that everybody does.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
I just like I mean I watch a lot of times just because it's entertaining. I mean I love watching how the guys just love the heck out of their hobby and just you
Yeah.
know I mean sure if they're putting Superman fighting Aquaman somewhere, I mean hey,
Right.
if they do it in a cool way, who cares? I mean that's just it's what they love and it's fun to watch.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm with it. Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about Penlug. Tell me about your role with Penlug.
Um, my role with Penlug is more of I just I've more or less helped help put the layout up, set put it down when it's time for shows,
Hmm.
and I bring my trains to run on there.
Okay.
I mean, but the primary reason a lot of us show up is a lot of us even in Penlock don't have trains.
Okay.
There's a lot of guys that they come there, they build some other stuff on the layout,
Hmm.
but they primarily when we do shows is they're actually helping take it apart
Okay.
and set it up because there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. 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 It
What
is. It is.
Yeah, what you saw at Virginia is only a fraction of what our layout actually consists of.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the train yard alone is one of the most massive projects that. It's one of
Uh
the few club layouts that actually have a train yard, and it may be the only one of that size
huh.
I've ever seen.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I definitely want to see it. Cause yeah, the one that I seen at Virginia, man, that thing was just man, and I still didn't see every part of it. I tried to spend my time, but it's like you need some time and just that part alone, it was a lot, man. And but I
Oh
can't
yeah.
wait to see it again. Because it kind of seeing stuff like that gives you inspiration to ideas and stuff like that. Um, so you got your club buddies, you got your pin lug that you build with. Do you build with any significant others, like any family members that your hobby that you're rubbing off on,
Well, I'm trying to get my wife trained into it.
Yeah.
In fact, for Christmas, I surprised her with the BB-8, the large BB-8 set.
Oh, okay, okay.
And it was funny. I kept telling her that I was going to buy it for myself, and I just joking, just teasing her. She was getting all, but I want it. I want it. And then one weekend I was just like, you know what? I'm going to get it for her for Christmas, and see what kind of reaction I get.
Right, right. What
And
type of reaction did you get? What'd you get?
a priceless one. I'll put it that way.
Oh, you might be sleeping on the couch.
No, actually, no, not sleeping on the
Nah,
couch.
nah, you good? All right, all right. It
No,
went over.
she was very happy. I mean, it was like
That's good.
it's like when you give a little. It was like kind of funny. Like it was kind of the same reaction like when you hand a child a very colorful balloon and run around, just like because she wanted it. I mean, she's BB-8,
Hmm.
and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get it for her.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, and that's our job as or our task as Lego enthusiasts is to spread our love to people that don't know about Lego or don't really care about it. Spread our love out to those. So would you say that building Lego is therapeutic for you, or you do this just for kicks?
I would say it's probably both
Hmm.
because it comes from the model train world. And I've heard this conversation about trains,
Hmm.
like toy trains, model trains. It's therapeutic because you're controlling your environment.
Hmm.
You can have a bad day, dealing with people at work. Your boss is getting on you.
Hmm.
Guy cuts you off in traffic, in which is something I'm sure you can appreciate where you live.
Yeah.
You get the finger multiple times. You didn't do anything.
Right.
Somebody yells at you out the window for no reason because they're more sour than yours. But you get home, you see these little miniature automobiles on the street that you
Hmm.
created. They're nice and orderly. Nobody's screaming. Nobody's yelling.
Yeah.
Unless you position them to look like they were.
Right.
But you get to control that.
Right.
Everything in your world is your control.
Yeah. Hmm.
And when you're building Lego, at least when I am, you get to clear your mind. You're just focusing on that agenda, getting that little building done, or maybe making a tree or something like that.
Hmm.
And that for me is what takes a lot of the problem out of the world. I'm not thinking about the world, bills, taxes, work, all that stuff when I'm just locked in my little Lego area of the apartment and just enjoying what I'm doing. Even sorting Legos therapeutic for me.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome. What was your in Lego, what was your most difficult project?
Let me think here. Trying to think what was the one. Uh, that's let me think here. Probably the one that was the most involved,
Hmm.
at least as far as like a lot of building involved and a lot of just thinking, was when I built the city module section for Penlogs for Philly for 2016,
Hmm.
and it was a two-table affair. Both were 40 by 50 inches wide tables,
Okay.
and that took a lot of thought as to how I wanted to place stuff,
Okay.
and then figuring out how to pack it all into a vehicle.
Yeah. That's the fun part.
uh,
Yeah, that's the fun part.
that's why I own a big SUV.
You need a trailer soon.
I've talked about it, believe me.
Say, Nate, what's your most memorable interaction you had with someone regarding your Lego hobby?
Hmm. I would say my most memorable is every day with anybody that I talk to that's friends of mine in the community.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest. Because I can't really ever pick out a most memorable thing. Because just too much good happens when I get in contact with other fans of Lego. People are the same as me, all passionate about it. When most people I ever deal with, all they're worried about is entertainment, television, and maybe their car or their family. You know, they got family issues or something like that. You know, that they have to deal with. Either because I'm into baseball and football to some degree, but when I get around people that are into trains and Lego, I mean, especially Lego, it's like bam, 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 conversation just flies.
Right. I got you.
And that's where I'm at. That's the happy zone.
Yeah.
So any moment, you know, probably Philly Breakfast 2016, I would say, if anything.
Okay. Because
it opened me up, you know, the whole new affair. And then, you know, 2017, the next year, I got to meet the people that I'd only a couple people like Haley and Sean I'd met one, you know, at Philly Breakfast 2016. And had talked to him, but I actually didn't remember it. That was the funny part. And then the one I actually had to thank to getting me into the community was actually Brick Dudes.
Okay, Brick Dudes, yeah.
Yeah, he got me an invite onto the one Saturday night stream. So I was there for the after party, and oh boy.
Yeah, they wild.
Oh yeah, they are wild. It's like nobody realizes once the cameras go off, just what goes on behind the closed doors, as it were.
Yep.
And Sean said he remembered talking to me. I was like, I vaguely remember talking to him and Haley, but I was like, just like, you know, there was so much of a whirlwind at Philly 16 that just all that was going on, just, you know, wide-eyed, and first convention I ever been to that was a Lego convention.
Yeah, I missed that crew, man. I missed that Saturday night crew. But yeah, I think that's one experience that we all can share. Folks, if you missed the first segment, you know, definitely go back and watch it. Some good answers to some good questions. My guest tonight is Naters Mocs. This segment, we are going to take a look at some of Naters' work that he's contributed to the Lego community. And so this is what we're going to do. We're going straight to the PowerPoint. So Nate, they can't see you, they can't see me. They're just looking directly at the PowerPoint. Once I get it started here, let me see here a minute. And so we're going to do it like this. All right, and we are up. All right, folks, welcome to On the Icebox with Iceberg Bricks. My guest tonight is Naters Mocs, and we are rolling through. All right, so I take a look on your Instagram, and this is the first picture that you posted almost about a year ago.
Yeah, it's pretty much been a year.
So tell us about this locomotive you got here.
All right. That locomotive was and is, because there is actually a few of them, the real ones left in the country, was known as a BL2. The designer who made them was trying to beat a competitor out, and it was a wrong design. The locomotives they were good locomotives, like power wise, but they were intended for switching, but they just did not live up to what they were supposed to design, what they were designed for. I want to try building a proper 8-wide version. There had been a couple done, but they were more 6 and 7 wide.
Okay.
And since that photo was taken, I actually had rebuilt the drive. I actually took out the original drive and put 2 train set motors and about a pound worth of fishing weights in it.
Okay.
So it should be able to pull some good sized trains.
Well done. See, I see you got your train town to go along with that, and actually picking the what would be lifelike color for the brick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's. I get a lot of comments when I build those buildings because that's actually all 1x2 plates and 1x1 plates.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, now trying to do a real huge building like the warehouse that you saw in some of the recent photos, if I tried that in plate, it would take years to construct something like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of more money. Whereas I've been slowly collecting plates over the years, just intending to build larger structures with them once I get enough of them. But bricks are actually a cheaper alternative.
Okay. Let's see here. What do we have here to our right?
That is the Burlington Zephyr.
Mm-hmm.
It was, in real life, it was the first successful diesel streamliner in the United States and in the world.
Okay.
And the reason why I say the first successful diesel, the Union Pacific Railroad had come out with another one. They were actually being built at the same time, but Union Pacific finished theirs first. But it was actually made out of aluminum and used an engine that used an unusual fuel. I forgot what the fuel was, and the other difference between the two, the Zephyr became more famous by breaking a record in 1934. And then when World War II came about, the Union Pacific streamliner, known as the M10,000, actually got scrapped for the war effort because of its aluminum sheeting, whereas the Zephyr used stainless steel, another first in the railroad industry. And it actually today lives in the Chicago Museum of Science and Industry.
Ah, okay.
So there again, I wanted to build a proper 8-wide, so.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have the Zephyr.
Okay, the Zephyr. I always like the front end of that. Looks so fierce to me. A real true work of art. If I ever get into Lego trains, I think I would like one of those in my collection.
That nose took a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
The original nose was a lot flatter and ugly, and I mean I just did not like it. And in fact, I have Glenn to thank for helping me get through getting that nose figured out, because I kept showing pictures like, no, man, that just doesn't look good. It don't look good.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, I found stumbled across the technique. I forget where it was I found it, but I stumbled across it the one day. I was like, oh, duh. use a little more steeper curved slopes, and then the inside of the nose is interesting because it's got the newer style headlight brick inside, actually holding all that together along with some plates.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
All right. So, what do we have to our left? Looks like you have a bridge, underpass for your trains here.
Yeah, that underpass, this layout you're seeing here is one that no longer exists.
Okay.
This was my first actual model railroad attempt.
Mm-hmm.
And because of being an apartment space is very constraining.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that's the bad part. You don't have a one-room apartment and you got 2 people living in it.
Mm-hmm.
Or someday to get a bigger place.
Right. Yeah.
But the underpass you don't see many of them in Lego cities.
Mm-hmm.
And which good reason, because brick is the thing to build.
Yeah.
Compared to other stuff, and they're also the most time-consuming and space-consuming as well.
Mm-hmm. And
there again, I wanted to build something like that, which has not been seen very much, but also it acts as a scene divider.
Okay.
It breaks it up a little bit.
Yeah. Like you can have the right side of town and the bad side of town.
Yeah, just about.
So the train track is always a line. Yep, the right and the wrong side of the tracks. Yep. Definitely. So, what do we have here on the right? What locomotive we have on our right here?
That was an attempt at building a steam engine that would have been labeled for the Chesapeake and Ohio.
Okay.
A railroad that ran from Norfolk, Virginia to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
But its main line traversed the area of West Virginia that my grandparents lived in.
Okay.
But, as you can see here, because of what I was saying to you when you were asking me about steam engine earlier, my adapted steam engines.
Okay. Okay.
That
That
engine
looks
just
good, man.
problems that I finally was like, you know what?
You gave up on it, huh?
Some help.
Gotcha.
It ran fine for a while, but like a lot of Lego gear stuff, yeah. A lot of guys that do like the great ball contraption, like you saw at Virginia, will tell you that eventually gears start wearing out. All kinds of tricks and problems.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I think mechanically that's what happened to this one. It was way, so it was less painful to scrap it.
Okay. Okay. Let's see here. All right. So you hit YouTube, you start your YouTube, and you're not brand new to the Lego scene, but you're brand new to the YouTube scene, and you hit 50 subs. Tell me how you're feeling at this point, with YouTube and your success with YouTube, because right now you way surpassed this number, but so right then and there, I think that, and I asked this question because at this point is where, like how a young fighter is hungry for the title, right? So I think that as we start building in the Lego, we're hungry for, notoriety, because we want our artwork to get out there and get noticed, and we want the interaction with people, so we can get the feedback so we can make better artwork. So at this point, I think you're probably at your hungriest, because you're trying to create. So tell me what's going through your mind at 50 subs on YouTube.
That was a while ago. I'm trying to think here. I know I was excited. At the time I did this photo, because, if I wasn't excited, I wouldn't have posted like that. And, right now, like you said, being like a fighter and hungry, Instagram is going so strong. That's where I poured all my mental resources into. YouTube for right now is actually kind of fallen a little bit to the wayside, other than watching people's videos when they put them out.
Yeah.
I'm waiting with the current layout till I have enough material to really, really start doing videos about it.
Yeah.
I want to feel like I got something finished a little more or even like, once I finish detailing what I'm working on tonight, actually, before you called me on Hangouts, I was working a little bit on some detailing. Towards, the front of the beginning side of the layout where the warehouse starts.
Yeah.
So, but on Instagram, I mean, it's like, I feel, I kind of feel like Rocky. Just get up and start swinging them fists, man. Just I'm gonna take it on, But I mean, YouTube was, for me at first, it got exciting, then it kind of stagnated. Now that I'm building this layout, the excitement's going to start building up again. I know that for sure.
Right.
Once I get enough to say, okay, I got the material. Now I got to film it. Then I got to edit it and get it out there,
Right.
Like you said, get that art out.
Yeah, get that, get the word out, definitely. So I noticed that, you mastered one art of the train building trains, and you try to, as you can see, you took a different approach. Tell us about this type of art of the train build.
Okay. One of the problems with Lego trains, and particularly like the normal size minifigure trains, and even the scale ones, narrow gauge is one of the hardest genres to ever pull off. Some guys in Australia managed to do it, but the track's not available as much. though a couple companies are working on it.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to get it out there, but there's no switches. There's not enough of anything. And of course, you
Right.
know, 4 wide track is very hard to put a motor on
Mm-hmm.
and the gear. I mean, it's. I'm amazed that those Australian guys managed to pull it off.
Yeah.
But I went a different step. I went large scale instead.
Mm-hmm.
Just instead of trying to figure it out in one size, I decided to size up, make the trains bigger, and come to find out that a half-inch scale
Mm-hmm.
on a roller, the track that Lego makes is actually equivalent to 3-foot gauge, the most common air gauge we had in the United States.
Okay.
Now, when I saw it, I was like, wow. Now, this isn't really like scale. This air gauge concept.
Okay.
This was just the first. This was basically like the first lab rat, more or less.
Okay. All right. So let me go back to that one. So tell us, I guess I mean I know what this is, but for people that don't, explain.
All right.
Explain.
This here is a large scale gondola.
Mm-hmm.
And what's different about it compared to like even Lego trains themselves is it actually is not, the wheels are not Legos wheels.
Right.
They're actually a custom company called Big Ben's Bricks.
Big Ben's Bricks. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, he makes. There's other companies that have his, but he does make different size train wheels for Lego trains.
Okay.
And the only bad part about them is they got to use Technic axles. So.
Oh, they put all the chicken in one thing because I was ready. So let's get these people up.
What'd you say?
Oh.
Hold on.
Yeah, the problem is they have to use Technic axles, so the difficulty is there's a lot of friction involved.
Okay.
There are parts available that use ball bearings, but I priced it out. Minus just for the specialized bricks that you can buy from Shapeways.
Mm-hmm.
The bearings are like it can cost $80 to $100 per car just for the wheels and assembly for that.
Oh, I got you. Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's not something I'm going to jump into unless I'm absolutely sure about it.
Yeah.
Just for that cost alone.
Yeah, I mean I agree with you. It's an expensive hobby, and the deeper you go, the deeper your pocket's gonna be. So tell us what we're looking at here. Borax. I think I've seen that somewhere. I've seen that. That's an actual real building.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was the first city where I tried to actually be realistic and detailed as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And what you see here is actually pretty much just about the final version of it before I took it apart.
Okay.
There might have been
All right, let me try to eat this chicken real quick.
And there's actually nothing left of the original layout except for that little tiny signal that's in the front.
Okay.
By the switch. That's it. Everything else was
taken
apart and used for other construction purposes.
Mm-hmm. Man, how do you create something that? How can you create something like that and just take it down? I mean, I would have a hard problem parting away with my baby.
Well, mine is because, like a real city, the plans are always evolving and changing over the months and years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Better techniques come along, better ideas, and for what I wanted, it was a small layout. I wanted something larger.
Mm-hmm.
And especially now with all these freight cars I've been building from the instructions that Brick Model Railroader has been putting out, I'm gonna need to go big.
Yeah. Yeah.
But first time it was a fun layout to work on.
That's good. That's good. So when I look at this, right, and maybe you haven't heard this. I don't know. I'm dating myself. But when I look at this reminds me sort of a little bit of of Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. You look at the buildings, and he had the model buildings. He had the trolley and stuff like that. This kind of I kind of get that same feel looking at this.
Yeah, honestly, you say that. Yeah, I honestly agree with you on that. I never really thought about that in that light though.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of. When I said it to myself as I was putting this together, but and so you actually build, and this is the thing, you actually build real town or real buildings that incorporate the railroad, the locomotive, like this building that we're looking at right here. Can you explain about this building here?
Okay, that building there was actually a lot of my buildings and actually city planning is actually inspired by a famous model railroader
Mm-hmm.
who his layout is still in existence. It's known as the Franklin of South Manchester. It's an
Mm-hmm.
HO layout. It was started in the '80s by a gentleman who owned his own fine scale miniature kit company, and
Mm-hmm.
he was basically this guy was like the shock rocker of his era, and still is to some degree, because he was creating HO buildings, and HO is real small. I don't know if you've ever seen the scale, but he's making these huge, giant monster buildings that were appropriate for the scale. I mean, they were 10 stories high, and like some of them had 2,000 windows in them.
Oh wow. Okay.
And
Okay.
this was based off one of his buildings, though his building actually had wood siding on it. Mine has brick. But someday I intend on
Mm-hmm.
building another version of it, but using the more simulated siding. And this was intended to be
Mm-hmm.
a small manufacturer that would get loads, picked up and empties dropped off while it was happening. And then, of course, the dust collector on top was typical of a lot of the manufacturings where they had to cut down on their dust
Mm-hmm.
from their stuff, and it was collected and then disposed of. And you can't see it on the opposite side, but there's actually a dock door for a box truck to come back up or a flatbed to back up to the doors to unload or load stuff.
Huh.
The detail in this building actually goes the whole way around all four walls.
Okay. Okay.
And this building just recently met its demise as parts were needed.
That's so depressing.
Yeah, but the big warehouse that sits behind me, the stone work on the bottom actually came off of this building.
Okay.
It was a noble sacrifice.
Sacrifice. So this is a slight upgrade to the locomotive that we've seen on the first clip, right?
Yeah, this was when I was reworking all the electronics in it, putting in a headlight, which actually it's the Lego power functions lights.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got two dual train motors, as opposed to I was using one L motor to pull everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the last couple months, I added some weight to it. It has yet to be tested to see what it can do.
Okay. Okay. All right. What do we have here?
Okay, this was the pond from the original city.
Mm-hmm.
And I had actually shuffled some stuff around, reworking it. That's why you got that weird sharp 90-degree angle in the middle of the water.
Okay.
And then the black object is actually a train signal that I had done that was actually based off a prototype from the Reading Railroad that used what they had tricolor lights that would show like the different positions, like if a switch was turned to one direction or if they had to stop and wait, that kind of thing.
Okay, okay, yeah. All right, all right. So again, you design buildings that fit into your railroad system and not the other way around. So tell us about this build that we got here.
All right, this was part of the large scale layout that I took to Philly for the 2017 show.
Mm-hmm.
And this building was more intended to be a small little depot, but I wanted it colorful. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want it, drab and stuff. The whole layout was meant to be like, as I put it, a garden with the train running through it.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of an idyllic place that you'd want to live.
Okay.
And the roof, because tiles, we all know the tiles are not cheap.
No, they're not.
But here, dark purple was actually relatively inexpensive compared to, say, reddish brown. If I remember correctly, that's why I have that instead of all reddish brown. I just kind of made a nice pattern out of it.
Mm-hmm.
To make something interesting.
Yeah, it definitely flows well. It's definitely, like you said, you can see the detail in the roofing. And
Yeah,
you even get the towel on the door too. You get the towel on the door too.
Yeah. And us looking at it reminds me of you when you asked me if I had any ambitious projects, and I couldn't remember. My memory suddenly jogged itself back to life.
Okay.
Someday, if I ever expand on the narrow gauge, I want to actually do either a portable layout or a layout on the side, if I have a room available, of the current Durango Silverton out in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Model it back when it was still an active freight railroad. And one of the scenes would be the Durango Depot in large scale, which would be about 6 foot long.
Okay.
So that's one project.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, you look at some of the things that you worked on in the past, and you look at them, to present, and you remember some of the things that you forgot to do.
Oh yeah.
So that's that steam engine, right? That you gave up on.
Yeah, that's the same one.
Okay. So what's going on in your town over here?
Yeah, I was trying.
What's that you didn't come through?
Oh, what it was is I was gonna try a different railroad with it, and then after that ultimately when I decided it was done.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got hobos there heating up the fire right there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. I like this city layout here. It looks plain, but it's detailed. It's detailed, and it just look like what the cityscape should look like. You've got the Jersey Wall right there. The Jersey Wall. Not too many people pay homage to the Jersey Wall. That's a good Jersey Wall there.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was actually. I actually didn't reference anything like you said, the Jersey Wall. A lot of cities are on retaining walls above the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Model layouts, or even some places in like New York City or Philly. I just take notice of those details and add them in because that makes sense. The railroads would trench their lines below the street levels.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to running street level where there would be like 100 crossings that could potentially cause accidents and everything. So a lot of times they would just trench them down lower.
Mm-hmm.
Taking advantage of the natural slope of the hills that the city might be on, so that they could eliminate a lot of crossings.
Definitely, you definitely captured that. So to jump back to the larger scale engine that you made, this was another addition you decided to incorporate a tanker. This is tanker.
Yeah, I still have that.
Okay.
That was too good of a car just to trash.
Yeah, yeah, it is a lot of detail that you got going on inside this build here.
Yeah, and one thing to note about it is the two 10 by 10 dishes that I used were actually custom painted.
Oh, okay.
Lego does not make them in that color that I noticed.
Right. Yeah, now you said something. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So here is one of your mock modules that you made for your train set here on it. That this is the larger scale one, larger train scale, right?
Yes, it is.
So we'll take a look inside here. Here's another. All right, and here's what the layout looks like here. Tell us about your table you got here.
All right. Well, that's actually on my kitchen table.
Mm-hmm.
When I was building it, but I do have custom tables that I had gotten made for Penlog modules.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to do
Hello?
something,
Yeah, I lost you there for a minute.
for the show with this narrow gauge. So I basically built it to the size for one of the tables.
Okay.
And then, from each photo, you can see where I started.
You say what?
And then, as every photo that you looked at, you can see I just kept progressively adding more flowers and.
Yeah, and a little bit more tile and more flowers. You actually made the, I guess the sizable, which would be the minifigures, but you made them scale the size to the actual layout.
Yeah. Yeah, it was basically I used the Miniland scale figures and then just added the Mixel eyes to give them a little bit of character.
Mm-hmm.
So it was one of those where I needed larger figures. Unfortunately, they are not always sized correctly to the trains. I've discovered when I was building this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were, because the problem with large scale is there's no real ever specific size that you can use. This was the best I could come up with.
Okay. Okay.
To give them some character without looking too blocky.
Mm-hmm. All right. So you have a variety of range of mediums. You got your locomotive sets, then you got the towns and the modules that go inside it. You up the scale on the railroads and the modules that go with that, and now you're reaching over to this what would be like a castle like build here.
Yeah, this build was originally supposed to go to Philly, but here I did not get time to pack it by the time Philly got here.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it was because of the narrow gauge layout. So this did not make it to Philly, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But what it was supposed to be was an old tower house, is what they called them in the Scotland and Ireland areas in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Is basically a tall castle with maybe a small enclosed wall around it.
Okay.
And what I'm representing was about the time of the 1600s, 1700s, when they would have added cannons to them as basically a small defensive fort against invasion.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, even during the 1800s, which actually that's some of the figures I had sitting around on it when I was going to bring, was the British had actually garrisoned some of these to protect against a possible invasion from Napoleon.
Okay. Okay.
This doesn't really model any specific place, but it's just like one that somebody threw up a quick palisade around the crumbling walls and
Mm-hmm.
a couple pieces of artillery just to protect against. And originally, I was actually going to have an attack that obviously never happened in the real history, but a fake one, a fictitious one where French guys are assaulting the fort.
Okay. Yeah. How long did it take you to put this up?
Few nights.
Mm-hmm.
Most of that was just trying to figure out where to put all the parts.
Yeah.
To give the walls a character of like old and new stone and weathered stone and that kind of thing.
Okay. All right. I like that. All right. So again, you design buildings off of your railroad. Here this is the bottom floor to your pizzeria. Explain what was the motivation behind actually incorporating a railroad side pizzeria.
All right. Well, the pizzeria that was me wanting to come up with a modular like building,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the guys in Penlug by the name of Rob Bender, he doesn't really
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of media, but most of the buildings you saw in our city,
Mm-hmm.
those are his.
Okay.
Very talented city builder. He's actually from Philly.
Mm-hmm.
So he's close to the inspiration for the big city stuff.
Okay.
And I had built this to go with the Penlug City. But I wanted the downstairs to actually be like, with the pizza shop to actually have the detail of a, small town, small corner pizzeria that just, you get the locals that come in most of the time. They might deliver out to a few blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm from in New York, we have so many pizza places. It wasn't hard to get inspiration. Believe me.
Right. Yeah.
In fact, man, the one I go to, you'd love. The guy's a comic book nut that owns the place.
Oh, okay.
And every time I go in there's always at least some Marvel or DC movie playing.
Uh-huh.
On their TVs, and I mean, he is the place so decorated with comic books and just different superhero knickknacks and memorabilia. You'd love it.
Okay, I definitely got to stop through there. Definitely got to stop through. They still sell those big cheese slices, those big ones, the size of a large pizza alone.
I don't know if he does. I don't think I've ever seen him do that, but he has blue cheese. It's just
That's awesome.
They put the actual chunks in it, not the.
Oh, not they don't melt it down. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So with your pizzeria, you came along with the laundromat as well, and you got all the real machinery there. I like the use of the brick that you did there. I see what you did there, and even put a little arcade in there, so that's a real laundromat. So you got to have at least one arcade machine.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What it was is when my wife and I first moved here, we actually had gone to laundromat for a while, and they had the arcade, but we actually started going down to my parents because they had Wi-Fi, and for what money I was spending at the laundromat and here we got a lot of failures with the machinery.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, if I'm gonna spend this kind of coinage just to get laundry done, why don't I just take it down to my parents and visit them?
Yeah. That's the best way to do it. Save some money.
Well, my mom appreciates it, so and it's good to be with your family while you still have them.
Yeah, definitely. So here you got the Eye of the Tiger here, man. I think you hit what 100 subscribers on your YouTube.
Yeah, that's was the 100.
Okay, all right. Still got the Eye of the Tiger.
I don't know if it's Eye of the Tiger, if I was trying to just kind of giving that the Rock look.
That's awesome. You're having good success, and it's good to see good people with good success. So here's an old school technique that's still alive is actually the your roads. And tell us about that. How's that helping you be a stronger builder? And in fact, how's it helping your towns?
Okay. Well, as many of us know, Lego's base plates, the road plates, while they're good for starting, a lot of what they lack is a lot of them are a lot of times, Lego changes them over the years, or they're usually European style roads,
Hmm.
which again, nothing wrong with if you're starting out, or if that's if you bought a lot of them, that's what you want to use. I mean, again, I
Hmm.
love everybody's cities for what they do, but for me, being exposed to Penlug and the brick built roads,
Hmm.
being able to make American style streets, as opposed to the European style streets that Lego, puts out. Yes, they're more expensive,
Hmm.
but the reward is you have more realism in your streets, and they're American style. I mean, that's being building a layout that's set in America. Set in America. That's for me the way to go. And the funny thing is, my twist on it was I actually just for this the second city layout I did before this one
Hmm.
is I actually added a bicycle lane, which
Hmm.
even with the brick built streets is not something often seen.
Right. Very true. Very true. So you can actually customize the way you want.
Oh yeah, it's amazing what you can do with them. I mean, you can either add a sticker to make like the different lane indications, whether you got to turn right or go straight and turn right, or you can even brick build them in.
Right. Okay. Okay. Duly noted. Duly noted. I will be learning how to do this technique. I will be. I will be. It looks good. There's that favorite train of mine, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, you cannot run on on the Lego curve
Hmm.
because it has to do with the joints between the cars.
Okay. Tell us about that.
All right, well, just like the real Zephyr, the cars share a common truck.
Hmm.
That's just how and the train, believe it or not, was actually built in Philadelphia.
Hmm.
So again, it's actually a Pennsylvania-born train,
Hmm.
and it was built by the Bud Company, who basically set the standard for the streamlined
Ah,
trains of the 1940s and 50s. And
yes. Right.
and when I built it, I was trying to keep it as close as I could
Hmm.
by having the cars as close together on the same common truck. The downside is if you get too sharp a curve, they bind up.
Oh,
That was actually one of the driving reasons for going wider curve on this current layout, so I could run this thing.
okay. Okay. So you got the engineer the engine, huh?
Yep.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I really like that. If I can get that in a collection, I think that if I start collecting trains, I think I would need something like that. That front end is very very fierce.
Oh yeah.
I see. So you built the tanker for the for which train? When is
All
this
right.
one?
Well, this tank car, it's kind of an interesting story. I actually had built this before Brick Model Railroader had started developing their instructions and
Mm-hmm.
even announced them.
Mm-hmm.
I had actually gone on my own, and this is actually modeling an American Car and Foundry 8,000-gallon tank car
Mm-hmm.
that was primarily used to haul acids.
Okay.
Now I still have this car,
Mm-hmm.
and since the ones that they model were I believe the General American type.
Mm-hmm.
This will be from a different builder in real life. So I'm probably going to hang on to this one and use it just to give some variety to the tank car fleet that I have currently.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. All right. So you're doing the what did they call that? You go ahead, take it away, sir. I'm tripped on some words here.
Yeah. Well, this was actually known as a box cab electric.
Okay.
They were amongst the earliest of the electrified trains in America,
Mm-hmm.
and the variant of this type. This wasn't really. Well, actually, no, I can't say it wasn't. I kind of modeled it on one of the New Haven Railroad in Connecticut used, but was going to make it my own railroad name. The problem with this engine was I was using the large wheels that Lego made for their trains, like the Emerald Knight wheels, basically. And you'd be amazed that when you hook them up to train motors, how fast this thing could go.
Oh.
And the reason behind that is with steam engines, the larger diameter of the wheel, the more surface it was touching when it rolled. So the faster they could go.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that was one reason why the New York Central's 999 broke the speed record back in the turn of the 20th century. Sorry, because it had huge diameter wheels. So the same goes even in the model train world. The larger the wheels, the faster something can roll.
Right.
Even
Absolutely.
Even if using the same gearing. Problem was I didn't have enough weight in it, so it couldn't pull anything.
Okay.
And because I arrived at the solution of fishing weights too late, this engine had already been taken apart before it could ever really be fixed.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's what happens when you have a limited amount of parts and you have to.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. You know, like you said, your imagination exceeds, you know, what you have inside. So what show is this?
This is Philly Brickfest.
Okay. Okay.
I think this is 2016, I believe.
Okay,
And
get you.
that was back when the BL2 actually had more of its decals.
Okay. 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 All right. And tell about this box car that you got here. What inspired you building this one?
All right. What you're seeing there is actually a almost finished, because I actually had completed it since. It's actually a passenger car.
Okay.
For the large scale trains.
And
the reason why I built it is I wanted a passenger car or a caboose or something, just the punctuation mark of any train is, even on a small railroad, would be a passenger coach that they would have used to haul people plus a conductor if they wanted to haul passengers without needing a caboose.
right.
So that was the intention behind this.
Okay.
Someday I'd like to build a full scale narrow gauge passenger coach, even if it's just as a display model. But I would like to make it like a luxury palace car, because some of the narrow gauges, they did have private cars that were very well fitted out with all kinds of luxuries.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. You get your side by side. Of course, that's your marquee right there on your left. Whose train is that on the right?
All right, that is Brick Model Railroaders Glenn Holland's engine. That is his Reading Crusader. The passenger cars behind it are actually belong to another member of Penlug. And now, an interesting story about these two trains. Both were built by the same company. One's a steam engine, the one on the right. The other one's a diesel. The diesel was actually built first.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of people would never really think about that, because, diesel was the one that replaced steam. But I said it's a case of where the old man actually beat out the younger generation. Because the Crusader was actually built 1 or 2 years after the Zephyr. Unfortunately and sadly, the Crusader steam engine no longer exists.
Okay.
Because it was apparently a very, very beautiful engine to look at in real life, because it had that blue plus the stainless steel casing. And I think 1 or 2 of the passenger cars may still exist, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Glenn knows more about this train than anybody. It's his passion.
Right.
And I don't know if I do have a video on YouTube of both of them running, but I tried to film it like an old 1930s or 40s film footage. and then added some music to it the best I could.
Definitely got to watch it. Definitely got to watch it. Definitely. All right. So what do you have here, sir?
All right, this was just some small builds I had for Philly this past Philly, just for some space stuff, just to fill out the table a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And this is supposed to be like a building made with like the classic space elements, your trans yellow, your regular blue. Because I'm a big fan of the old space stuff.
Okay. Okay.
You know,
There's
and then
that was in addition to what you were the space station you were making.
yeah, this was supposed to be like Space Police. I think believe Space Police 2.
Mm-hmm.
Using like the gray and the trans green.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, one of the biggest prizes that I ever was able to acquire from somebody was I got 2 monorail sets, both space. And
Okay.
I didn't get them completed, but you know what? Having 2 full monorail sets, the track and the mechanisms, I was happy enough with that.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, of course. Of course. All right. Here we're taking another look into your town. It looks like
Well,
you're disassembling. You say you're disassembling here? Are you assembling?
Oh, honestly don't remember what I was doing there.
I got you.
I might have been just packing it up.
Mm-hmm.
Most of those street panels still actually exist.
You know what? I think I saw you at Philly
they're
Brick Fest early this year with that sign. I remember looking at that sign.
Yeah. What it was is with the pizza shop, I was going to put business cards of different AFOLs that own Bricklink stores that I'm from, or even just gave me like
Mm-hmm.
YouTuber cards. This was when I was going to have this building in the one layout that I had, and I was going to change it every month.
Uh-huh.
For different YouTubers, which of course the layout ended up getting taken down. Like a lot of things, I forget about my own projects sometimes, which comes with having ADD, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sometimes mine's everywhere at times. You know, it happens. It happens.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So tell us about this thing you have here, this wall you got here.
Okay. One of my biggest video game passions is
Mm-hmm.
Elder Scrolls Skyrim. I don't know if you ever played that or not, but it's a RPG. It's basically what I call Dungeons and Dragons on steroids.
Okay.
The video game itself.
Mm-hmm.
And this wall was taken out of the game. There were some small villages that had these kind of walls around them.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't real protective, but at least it was something, I guess, to make it feel a little secure.
Yeah.
And eventually, I actually intended on doing the whole village this wall came out of, but it would have been a huge undertaking. And that mock still exists. I actually have that.
That's awesome. You didn't take it down because that thing that looks great.
Oh, I got that. Well, this and the narrow gauge layout, I actually got interviewed by Beyond. I don't know if you heard of Beyond the Brick.
Yes, it did. Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they were in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually got interviewed for this wall and for the narrow gauge by
Okay.
them.
Okay.
But eventually I will revisit this wall and expand on it sooner, eventually.
Yeah. Indeed, you should. You should. Don't break it down now.
Well, if I break it down, I can just build it even better than the last time. In fact, that's actually the second version.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So this is your one of your layouts here. Now, so you got the is this the pizzeria and the what buildings are we looking at?
All right. Well, these were off the first city we looked at.
Right. That's what I remember. Okay.
Yeah. So the building on the brown building on the left was actually a billiards hall. And in fact, all these buildings, the first floor was detailed.
Okay.
and it actually featured a pool table with a bar in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And the middle was a flower shop.
Okay. Okay.
And then the right building was supposed to be a small grocery store. That one I didn't detail as heavily as I could have, but I was trying to get the buildings completed so I could stick them on the layout.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. What are we looking at here?
All right. This build here was it was intended to be a restaurant that was built in an old powerhouse.
Mm-hmm.
With an outdoor sitting area, and then there was an indoor, and it actually even featured a fireplace that would flicker,
Mm-hmm.
and a ceiling fan that was spinning in the top of the roof.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All run off the same motor.
Okay.
And it was heavy.
Man, that's a lot of brick. Awesome. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, I saw the smokestack from it.
The smokestack? Oh, okay. Okay. Awesome. That's a lot of brick. Man. So here's the bowling alley that you said you tore down, man. Looks like you were heading in the right direction. This thing was going to be a slammer. And you opted out, huh? You opted out because you said you didn't have the pieces, the proper pieces to actually lay it out.
Well, it wasn't so much the pieces as it just didn't fit with what I was planning on doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because the original city that this was going to go into was just going to be one for fun.
Okay.
Just, for running trains and just a fun city.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to the serious one that I'm started working on, this was just going to be just a fun one with, with the modulars and Mocs and stuff that people could look at like, oh, I could do that.
Yeah.
Without taking a look at the big warehouse and stuff that I planned for this current one and go, whoa. Because I could hear the whoa, but I can't do that. It's too much.
Right. Right.
Whereas this was intended just to inspire people to be like, oh, I could do this. I mean,
Right.
And it gets back to what, you were asking me about what people's thoughts about Lego that I talked to.
Yeah.
The general public, and you can appreciate this, they don't realize, they enjoy it, but they don't realize what kind of work us guys go through when we build our stuff.
Yeah.
Even a simple mock could take us hours and pieces that, the people are like, oh, that's cool. I bet that went real quick. And we're looking at them go, a couple days, you call quick.
Not so much.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah, I can appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah. These kind of quick ones, even if I take them apart, I still want people to get, to see that and be like, oh, that's cool. I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Not selfishly hoard it to myself, but, share it with other people that want to build on it.
Yeah. So here on the left side, it looks like you stepping back into the medieval times a bit. Tell us about this build you got here.
Okay, well, this build here was actually from the same video game series as Skyrim.
Okay.
But it was a game it was the game before it, known as Oblivion.
Okay, Oblivion. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, It was based off one of the forts in the game with a tree growing right in the middle of it.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, they added like the dark pond, small dark pond in front, some plant life.
Mm-hmm.
A couple other trees. It's actually one of the highest grossing photos in my Instagram page.
Yeah, a lot of detail. I like it, especially the uses of the foliage you got, especially coming out of the brickwork a little bit. You got a little bit of sand green tile, and you switched up from the round brick to the square brick and even the mason brick. So It definitely. And then like you said, you rounded it off. So I think you definitely actually captured every on this mock here.
Yeah, and that's actually I think the third. That was like the third version of those kind of forts.
Mm-hmm.
The first version, I wish I had pictures to put on Instagram because it was just. You look at that versus this one, and I know if I ever do this again, I'm going to have even more detail in it than I did before.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, this was a good one, but I look at it, I was like, man, I could have put more.
Yeah, you look back and you always say you can always put more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is one of the buildings in your large scale, like your large scale train set.
No, this was actually for a video that I'm a big fan of. I don't know if you ever heard of this YouTuber. His name is Dunkster Bricks.
Okay.
He does a lot of train running videos where he just sets up his trains and just runs them all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple other YouTubers. I think there's a couple other guys who do the same. That do the things like he does. Banana Berman and a couple others.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were going down to the shore back in September, I was like, I'm going to try to film one.
Okay.
Do my own running video, just the train sets, that kind of thing, just running around, make a video. Maybe as a way to advertise my channel to bring in some more views.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I found out after I filmed all this,
Mm-hmm.
did all this work here, YouTube had got rid of their creator part. They had changed something.
Yeah, they did. They did. You can't even edit your videos in there no more. So
Yeah, and I was like, oh
that
man.
Sucks. Yeah, that sucks big time. You can add music to it, but you can't go in there and edit. You can edit your video. Now you can't.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, I saved the footage. I didn't throw it away afterwards. I'm like, I'll figure out either have to do it like with a separate app on a PC or something, and then
then go back in and do it. Yeah, that's the way you do it. But it's just more time consuming. More time away from what's true. Oh no! Wait. Now, did you disassemble something?
It's meant to represent like a small suburban 40s and 40s.
Okay, you didn't disassemble that set that you made from Oblivion, did you?
What, the Oblivion one?
Yeah, this one.
No, that tower did not survive.
Oh my goodness! Because when I kind of figured, because when I saw that, I'm like, oh, something didn't make it.
Now this one is still around.
Okay.
But it's living on borrowed time.
Yeah, got to go on to the next project. Well,
I have a large train. If I can fit it in this layout that's coming, I got a decently sized train station coming that's going to be drawn off this.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because this was built for the first layout that you saw. It's just kind of at a small station and without having to, sacrifice too much space. But these kind of platforms, I have looked online at SEPTA's platforms around Philly. They've varied from station to station. You have ones that were similar to this. Some were even 2-story old stone houses.
Yeah. All
kinds of stuff. So this is a plausible building that could have existed.
Okay, yeah, and I can see that. I can see that. That gives that real railroad look and that real railroad feel. So, is this a present picture? Is this what you got now?
No, this is the Pendlug module that I talked about.
Okay.
This was the first Serious City attempt.
Okay.
Where I had actually created modular.
You say you created modular what?
Well, the different buildings could be broken down and packed away.
Mm-hmm.
I could have done a better job with the big building in the background.
Mm-hmm.
But they basically they filled my SUV from the any available space in the back seat was filled with this, plus what we had to pack for clothes and stuff.
Okay.
And each building, the one in the back was supposed to be a warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
The tracks actually went through it like a tunnel.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then, of course, you had the small manufacturer on the right.
Mm-hmm.
The building in the background with the kind of green first floor,
Yeah.
is actually supposed to be an abandoned building, which I actually had modeled off one that I had seen in Grand Theft Auto 4.
Nice. Okay.
So, yes, I also use Grand Theft Auto, at least the one game. I only have the only one game. I use that sometimes for inspiration for buildings.
Uh-huh.
It's I realize it's kind of a strange way to do it, but their buildings in that game was really highly detailed.
Yeah, they were. They were. They were. Now you gave me some good reference. So last stop.
Yeah,
Tell us about this.
Yeah, this is actually supposed to be modeled on a SEPTA platform, the modern day one.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the other side of that modular setup that I have for Philly.
Okay.
In the background building is supposed to be an Asian restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it has all the different dragons and stuff.
Okay. See that.
And in the further background, you have where the caboose is sitting. You have the other end of that tunnel.
Right. The tunnel. Yeah, where they ride through. Yep. Well done. Well done. I like it. I like it. I like it. Learned a lot today. What'd you say?
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize.
Oh, I'm sorry. You go ahead. You go ahead. What'd you say?
All right. Well, I didn't get a lot of chance to detail that side because by the time I got done with that, Philly was like right on there. Philly 16 was like right upon us, and I was like, not enough time.
Yeah. Yeah. They creep up when you quit.
Well, yes, they do.
Yeah. They definitely creep up on you. Man, I want to thank you for sharing that good artwork with us tonight. One more question before I let you go.
Say again?
So I said, so one more question before I let you go. So you you're at Philly Brick Fest and you're well known. You're signing autographs and everything. And the kid comes up to you. Matter of fact, it's the young Nate. He asks you for advice. What do you tell
him? What I would tell him is limit your hobby to one thing. Because I look at what I have behind me. Okay, my new city that I'm going to eventually go around the whole place. I have all these buildings, all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Try to limit your hobby, but at the same time, the one that you really want to do the most, pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have told him, if you're going to be into Lego, get on that Penlug forum and do it, because had it not been for the train hobby, the model train hobby, I would never have met them as soon as I did. It would have been later.
Mm-hmm.
The timing was actually perfect with the model trains because it allowed me to join Penlug earlier than I ever would have.
Okay.
So I would have told my younger self, get on that forum and learn how to do it.
Right. Oh, that's awesome.
But stay to one hobby.
Okay.
And never give up on your passion if you really want to devote yourself to it, don't give up.
Yeah. That's awesome. Good advice, man. Real good advice. Real good advice. All right, folks, that is going to conclude our time. Our guest today is Naters Mocs out of Pennsylvania, and he's a member of Penlug. You will see him at Philly Brick Fest. If the person, people can't get to Philly Brick Fest, where can they find you, Nate?
You can't see me at Philly Brick Fest. Just look for me on Instagram and YouTube. It's those are Naters Mocs. I do have a little Flickr thing that I occasionally post something on. And that was known as Nater Tater because I didn't have the Mocs thing until after Philly 16. Mm-hmm. Philly 16 just changed everything about how I viewed myself in the Lego community and how I was doing things, because the YouTube channel I have was actually a model train channel and train channel And then I changed it after Philly 16, and then I started watching like the live streams, like the Asia Pacific stream I stumbled across. Because they were actually doing it while Philly was happening Saturday morning.
Okay.
And I got to see that. And then I stumbled across Brixar and like all these other YouTubers, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, what am I missing? This looks like fun. And sadly, because I didn't know anybody the first Philly. This is the other thing I would tell myself. If you get a chance to meet other Lego AFOLs at your first convention, do it. Don't just start kind of like shyly just because I didn't know anybody.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
This past year was different because I knew people by then.
Yeah. Yeah. You got in the mix a little bit.
For being on the streams and stuff, and then the build up to Philly 17, and then got to meet. I got to meet Hoosier, got to meet MD.
Right.
I had, and then of course, got to meet Fick and the crew.
Yeah, definitely.
I had seen them, but because I remember BR having his baseball stadium there, but
I remember that.
Actually meet him.
Yeah, I remember the baseball stadium. Yeah, I took pictures to the baseball stadium and never got to meet him. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to, so this past one was different because there were so many people I knew by then. And then of course ones that I didn't get to meet at Philly 16, unfortunately, weren't able to make it this time, like Brick Smith and some of the other ones.
Yeah.
So it was fun, but at the same time, it's like, man, I wish I'd met these people when they were there.
Yeah.
Which is still great meeting them online, but it's like, it's so different when you're there just hanging out and having fun.
Yeah.
Instead of being worlds away from a different, from screen to screen, you're actually in person.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. All right, folks. We thanks Naters Mocs for coming through and sharing. If you missed the show, well, you shouldn't because it's pre-recorded. Definitely go back and look at some of the artwork that he's produced, and definitely give him a buzz on Instagram. And he'll reach out to you. You have any questions about any Lego train hobbies, or even Lego train related questions? He'd be more than happy to oblige you in answering your questions. So that's going to conclude tonight. Thanks for watching. I bid you love, peace, and Lego. Good night.
Yep. See you guys.